Well,
Box,
someone will have to
green
refresh
box,
furiously.
green box, bit rate and live counter are up. So I'm gonna,
Especially live.
yeah, take that to mean we are live.
So, hello there, everyone. We're talking about film today. Though, the fact that I say that is probably contentious to a lot of people, because people are really weird about MCU films, huh?
Yeah.
They're like,
Though the whole Martin Scorsese thing is definitely a misquote because he's more concerned about independent films getting shafted for big budget stuff like the MCU.
but it's like, it's not even that. It's like, even if you ignore the big name people, like, there's a lot of people who are like, oh my god, MCU is ruining movies. And I'm just like, if it wasn't the superhero bubble, it would be just another bubble. Is how Hollywood works.
Mm-hmm.
Put it this
At
For a
way.
least,
while, there was a Western bubble.
Put it this way. It could be worse. It could be the anime bubble of isekai.
Oh,
you
God.
mean the one that's still ongoing?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of just like, at least the average quality of the films is good, and they're fun to watch.
Especially in this half a dozen films I think we are covering.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're basically covering the MCU Phase 3 up till Black Panther, since Infinity War and Endgame are kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Infinity War Endgame and the films around them are best saved to till another video.
I mean, yeah, they are all related to, the end of the Thanos saga.
Mm-hmm. They're all connected to one another much more deeply than the first half of Phase 3 is.
But guys, where's Mephisto, though?
Phase 5.
That's to discuss Phase 4 stuff. We'll talk about that when we get to WandaVision. And all the shenaniganry involved in the theorizing there.
I mean, we'll get to those. The TV shows will probably be their own thing, but we will get to those eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So, up first, Captain America 3 Civil War, which wasn't especially a Captain America film.
Captain America
like
Civil
Avengers
War,
2.5.
aka Avengers 3,
Yeah.
2.5.
Avengers 2.5, I think, is a good one.
Yeah, because we are missing two of the main Avengers. Two of the main Avengers.
Only because they would decide the Civil War in an instant.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, also, if like, Wanda and or Vision actually decide to try during the course of the film, they would also probably end things in an instant.
I'm trying to come up with a very
overpowered.
off-color joke involving Vision and ending stuff, but I can't. I'm in quite a bit of pain right now, honestly. I made the mistake of walking around for 2 hours at least.
Oh no.
And I think I've fucked my knee and my hip up.
Oh, that's not good.
But I do have a summary, as honestly crap as they are. I didn't try.
I mean, that's part of the charm at this point, right? Like, it's the brand.
I try for other ones, I just really couldn't be bothered putting that much effort into these.
To be fair, that's like...
Civil War is kind of disappointing compared to its comic book counterpart.
Well, it is and it isn't, because at the very least...
It does have a more optimistic ending than the comics.
And the movie, at the very least, succeeded in making both sides somewhat more sympathetic.
Oh yeah, no. In the comics,
whereas the comic books just made Tony Stark a Nazi.
Yeah. They definitely strawman Tony Stark's arguments in the comics. Which, yeah. It makes a lot more sense here.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Civil War featured Squirrel Girl and her ex-boyfriend who became, like, really edgy in the comics.
Right?
Yes. and it's a whole thing.
Okay, the summary. After a mission against Hydra goes wrong, the UN decides to oversee and control the Avengers. Stark agrees, Cap doesn't, and the team is split. At a UN conference, Bucky Barnes appears to bomb the conference, killing the Wakandan king. Cap supports his old friend, rescues him, and flees along with Falcon, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and Wanda. Stark leads the rest of the available Avengers to stop them, including Spider-Man. In the ensuing fight, Rhodey is paralyzed, and Stark discovers the role and manipulations of Zemo, hunts down Cap and Bucky, only to discover the Winter Soldier killed his parents, and the three fight. Cap just about comes out on top, and flees with Bucky to Wakanda. It's about as succinct a summary as I could come up with.
It works pretty damn well.
I have words to say about that final 1v2 fight.
Such as?
That Iron Man should have won.
Yeah, because, like, Captain America's not bulletproof. Or missile-proof. And Iron Man has a lot of those. Like,
There's
in
an
his
argument
suit.
to be made that he was trying not to kill Cap, but at the same time, like, he was actually trying to kill
But, like, I'm sure he could have just kneecapped him a little.
I mean, I'm just surprised nobody went for the balls.
I mean, it wouldn't have worked on Iron Man.
Wouldn't have worked on Iron Man. He has a codpiece, but, you know.
He does have a codpiece, doesn't he?
Yep.
They probably have codpieces too. I just don't think they're, like, you know, made of vibranium like Iron Man's.
I mean, I think
Iron Man isn't made of vibranium. It's a titanium alloy.
There's a vibranium in it.
No, not an Iron Man suit.
Anyway,
I'm sure he found some way of putting some in there.
The interesting question to me is, did Cap know that the arc reactor wasn't keeping Tony alive? Because if he didn't, then he tried to kill Tony.
I'm pretty sure Tony would have told him.
Also, you'd think the arc reactor would have, like, better armoring.
He couldn't do his unibeam if he didn't have an unarmored arc reactor.
Why did he unibeam anyone? Like, if someone's going to punch your arc reactor, you just unibeam them and blow their hand off.
He does unibeam that one dude in Iron Man 3, but I don't remember the when he uses it afterwards.
No, I mean, like, why didn't he use it on Captain America? I think you can see which team I'm on in this particular thingamajig.
Iron Man? Question mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's also very possible that, you know, there are protections on the arc reactor. They just weren't made to deal with a pissed off Captain America and his frisbee.
That is true. He does have a very fancy frisbee.
That he does. I honestly am siding with Captain America here because, like, governments in the MCU have repeatedly shown themselves to be untrustworthy when it comes to wielding superpower stuff related stuff.
Here is my reason for siding with Captain America or like Iron Man in the MCU version, I should note. It's because while the government is still corrupt and incompetent, the key thing is, in the MCU, the government is not nearly as dangerous as the one in the comics. They've got a lot. They've got a lot less. No. Let me finish. And as a result, if they ever did something like out of line, even if you register, you can still just not listen to them. Because they can't do anything to you anyway.
Not listen to them at the end. Like Tony repeatedly disobeys orders.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's just like, at that point, just like, I'm kind of just like, you just sign the papers just to appease them. a little bit,
I mean,
and
at
then
that
just
point, it's
ignore
just
them
lip service.
afterwards.
Also, you know Captain America's too honorable to sign a contract and then not follow through on it.
Yeah, but that's a him problem. But yeah, like that's my stance on this, is that, like, even if they disobeyed the orders of the government, it's not like the government could do anything to them. Except maybe Hawkeye. Because, he's just a dude with a bow and arrow.
He's got other weapons.
You know what's funny, though, is that, like, imagine them trying to enforce that kind of policy on fucking Thor.
I feel like they couldn't even do it, because technically Thor's not even a citizen of Earth.
Yeah.
I feel like he could probably, weasel himself into diplomatic immunity.
I'm fairly sure by this point he does have, dual citizenship. Because weren't there those, shorts where he lived with that Australian dude? Was he Australian?
Yes, he was Australian, because it's Chris Hemsworth.
Canon or not.
So I believe the shorts were canon, with the exception of the short that featured why Thor and Hulk were not in Civil War.
Yeah, because they were in space at the time instead of the shenaniganry reason.
Well, no, Hulk was in space at the time. I'm not sure if Thor was in space at the time. I think Thor was just kind of chilling.
That would make sense.
But yeah, the out-of-universe reason is that, hey, they would end the conflict pretty much instantly.
And
I believe Thor was zipping around the cosmos at the time Civil War happened.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Because I'm pretty sure... Well, no. It depends on whose side they fall on, right? Because, if they fall on the same side, then there would be no conflict. If they fall on opposite sides, then you'd get Thor versus Hulk again, which is always a fun little exercise in futility.
I mean, at that point, he still had Mjolnir, and I feel like Ragnarok made it clear how, even without Mjolnir, that fight would go.
Well, no, but he leveled up in Ragnarok, right? He was like...
Not at that point. Not at the point that he fought Hulk.
Okay, fair enough, but, there's also the factor of Hulk scales continuously.
Hmm.
And is as strong... Functionally speaking, out of universe, Hulk is as strong or as weak as the plot demands it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it still could have gone. I still maintain it could have gone either way.
By the way, back to Civil War. I don't have to choose a side, because I watched the film far after the promotion engaged in tribalism.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wasn't interested in the MCU at the time, but I still remember the fact that Team Iron Man and Team Cap was fucking everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, later movies pretty heavily vindicates Cap's view of the governments are way too slow to respond to crises like, say, an alien invasion. And the whole, oh no, bureaucracy is going to make this very difficult.
At the same time, they just show that everyone ignores the bureaucracy anyway, so it's kind of just like a moot point.
Mm.
Yeah, so why bother
signing the narrative was very much on Cap's side. Overall.
It is maybe a Captain not necessarily America movie.
Maybe I wouldn't even say it was necessarily on the side of Cap in this movie, but overall in the franchise, it heavily vindicated Cap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still of the opinion you just sign the accords so they stop bugging you, and then just ignore them. And then whenever they try to pull the accords, you just go so what are you gonna do about it?
Again, as Jack said, he's too honorable to do that, unfortunately. He is honorable to a distinct fault.
But yeah, we also got the Spoderman.
I remember.
You say that, and I have literally named the image source in OBS Spoderman for the Spider-Man film.
I mean, that's his name.
Yeah.
You know what's fun was I remember when the trailer for this dropped that features Spider-Man, and everyone lost their collective shit because up until that point, no one had there was still uncertainty as to whether or not Spider-Man would ever come into the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trailer revealed that he did, and everyone lost their goddamn minds.
Shame they revealed it in the trailer and not just, left it for the movie.
I feel like that would have affected sales in the long term if they hadn't revealed it to start with.
Civil War grossed just so much fucking money, and the marketing definitely helped.
But yeah, we got probably the... Look, this is a controversial statement. He's probably the most likable live-action Spider-Man. Because, the others were already adults, and that made them kind of, less likable. You know what I'm saying? The Tobey Maguire... Andrew Garfield aside, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was good, but, it just... It lacked that air of childlike wonder that Spider-Man is that's kind of his brand.
I haven't seen, certainly not. I'm fairly sure, I might have seen them, but I don't remember them at all. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, but every sort of, thumbnail for a video or screenshot has him looking incredibly smug, which seems wrong for Peter Parker.
Yes, that's another thing, is that, I think Andrew Garfield was too serious, and Tobey Maguire was a combination of too sour and or, depressed and too smug, right? A big part of Spider-Man is that when he does not have the suit on, he lacks confidence.
When he doesn't have the suit on, he is an awkward, nerdy bastard.
Yes, he is an awkward, nerdy child, whether he's 15 years old or 40 years old.
And I think that's why. And I think Tom Holland plays that pretty fucking well.
Yes, that's what he does. And I think that's just what makes the MCU's version, live action Spider-Man, just. It feels more like Spider-Man, in the same way that Robert Downey Jr. feels distinctly like Tony Stark. Mm-hmm. Tom Holland just feels like Spider-Man.
I honestly think that Tom Holland is quite possibly casting for Spider-Man.
I will say, though, the Marissa Tomei as Aunt May is just still a very questionable decision.
Look, she is the aunt of a teenager. Making her in her late 40s, early 50s makes sense, rather than her being a very old woman.
Well, okay, no. I will say, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films made Aunt May way too old.
Yes, precisely.
Aunt May and Uncle Ben are not supposed to be super old, but at the same time, they're not supposed to be super young either. You know what? I think the best
No, they was 50 when they filmed Spider-Man Homecoming.
Well, yeah, but, you know what I mean. I feel like the best depiction of Aunt May in recent times is probably the...
Verse?
No, the game.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. The game is really good.
The game is fantastic. Also, it's kind of weird that the game's version of Peter Parker is kind of just Sam Raimi is Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland thrown into a blender. I'm sure
yet it still works.
Notice that.
And yet it still works.
That's why it works, and Yuri Lowenthal really makes it. But it's kind of funny that that's the route they went. Instead of like having an original design, they were kind of just like, what if we took all of the live action actors and just made them have some sort of demonic love child?
Well, we can talk more about Spider-Man when we get to home.
Okay, yes, but like Spider-Man, you have to admit, Spider-Man's a pretty important part of the movie.
He is, even though he's in for like less than 15 minutes.
Also, just like some of the most hilarious parts, like when he easily stops Bucky's vibranium arm, and Bucky just looks at it, just like, "What the fuck?"
The entire fight between him, Falcon, and Bucky is just so funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is actually something that a lot of people forget, and I'm really glad that the movies actually emphasize this, is that you don't tell very often because Spider-Man's rogues gallery tends to be a bit more down-to-earth, but the boy is very, very strong.
Yeah.
Like, he can, like, easily bench he can one-handed lift 75 tons.
Yeah. And I do think that his whole involvement in that fight really did do a good job of emphasizing the fact that, yes, he is incredibly strong and powerful, but he's also incredibly inexperienced as a fighter.
And is just kind of a dork in general.
Oh, 100% a dork. Just stops in the middle of the fight to just theorize about fucking Falcon's wings.
And also, like, just talks about, like, Star Wars.
Yeah.
And calls it an old movie, great. Which makes all of the other old people be like, God damn it.
I love Gen Z Peter Parker.
Zoomer Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man.
It reminds me of that just fucking meme of him just teaching all the other Avengers, like, meme language, and Tony just getting increasingly angry.
That seems like it'd be accurate.
But, yeah...
like getting Thor to yell yeet as he throws Mjolnir.
I mean, let's be real, Thor wouldn't even have... Thor plays Fortnite, okay? I'm pretty sure he already does that.
To be fair, he wasn't the one playing Fortnite. That was Best Rock Korg.
Yeah, but
Korg, yeah.
Yeah, but like but it's like in his house and it's his PS4. So let's be real. He probably also plays Fortnite.
Anyway, I'm just trying to think about how timings work. We should probably wrap up Civil War soon.
I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. Civil War is basically... I
mean, we haven't at all talked about Zemo.
Oh, yes, Baron Zemo, a.k.a. the... you know what is funny? Baron Zemo is one of the rare MCU extremely charismatic villains who doesn't die in this movie.
Yeah.
He's other than Loki and Thanos, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Abomination survived.
We don't talk about that movie.
Fair.
That is not a movie we are proud of.
Vulture survives.
Who?
Vulture survives, yeah.
That's true, but he's not as charismatic. Like, I'm talking about the Lokis
I would disagree. Like, Michael Keaton was pretty fucking charismatic.
He's very good. Like Birdman was very good as Birdman. Right? Like he seems to specialize in playing flying creatures. But
you know what else we didn't talk about for this one?
T'Challa.
T'Challa, yes.
Yes, Black Panther, who is just a great character because he undergoes character development mid-movie, which is very interesting because he decides to break the cycle of revenge, which I could argue that it might kind of come back to bite him in the butt a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Yes, okay. Okay, I will be right back. My parents have returned, and as a result, my dog is like, let me consume their love.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I just love the airport fight. That's a really fantastic fight, overall.
Yeah, that's fun.
Sorry, I'm muting as fast as I can.
And just the whole like different combinations ended up putting in fights. You know, fucking Hawkeye just being Hawkeye and still managing to keep up with these superhumans. Also, you know, poor Rhodey. He didn't deserve that.
No, he didn't.
But at the same time,
Unfortunately,
wasn't Falcon's
it was
fault either.
Yeah.
Also,
It was
this
technically Vision's fault.
technically Vision's fault, but yeah. This is also the first movie where we got the hint of the dynamic between Falcon and Bucky that would end up being the central point of their show.
Oh yeah, they have a great dynamic.
They have a fantastic dynamic, and it's just fucking Anthony Mackie and what's his face, Sebastian Stan, just play off each other so fucking well. And I still say that Bucky looks better with short hair.
Uh-huh.
Which is probably something I will be... probably be saying a similar refrain in a few movies' time.
Yes.
But yes, moving on to the next
He does
film.
look less like a homeless person.
Sebastian Stan just looks very, very good looking with short hair.
Yeah, I can see that.
I will simp for short-haired Sebastian Stan.
Oh, that's fair, dude. That's completely fair.
Anyway, ending on that note and moving on to Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is one of the trippiest movies in the series.
I wish Mads Mikkelsen had a bigger role in the MCU. Like, God, he's so good.
But,
honestly, he probably should have played something like Mephisto.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so for the summary for Doctor Strange, having injured his hands driving while stupid, Dr. Stephen Strange, renowned surgeon, travels to Nepal for supernatural healing. There he finds sorcerers Mordo and the Ancient One, who are part of a group that protects Earth from other dimensions. A former member, Caecilius, is at the same time planning to summon Dormammu of the Dark Dimension, which sounds like a fucking name from the 4Kids dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Strange gains prowess in the mystic arts, but fucks with the Eye of Agamotto, a time-related device. Caecilius attacks, injuring Strange and killing the Ancient One before attacking the... it was the Hong Kong Sanctum, wasn't it?
It's the Hong Kong Sanctum.
Yeah, I wrote down fucking Nepal Sanctum because I'm an idiot.
You haven't mentioned Wong yet, who is the best part.
I'm not mentioning him in the summary, but yes, he is the best part. Strange and Mordo arrive, save the day with the eye. Strange annoys Dormammu into leaving, and he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme while Mordo goes on a rampage. But yes, Wong is the best part of the film. I love Wong.
I do find it very funny that...
Beyonce.
So there's that is amazing, yes. There's a couple of, like, really... So Wong is kind of an example of taking what was initially just an incredibly offensive character and kind of just, like, making him good.
Yeah.
Because, like, the original comic book Wong... incredibly racist on so many levels.
Generally been described as Strange's Asian tea-making manservant.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
So he is almost Friday of Robinson Crusoe levels in the comics, which is just not a good comparison. Also, there's a couple of funny little naming-related coincidences, right?
Well,
like Benedict Wong and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Wong and Benedict Cumberbatch, and yes, Wong is played by a guy called Wong.
So it's like I say it was a funny coincidence. I just like he's a great actor as well.
Oh yeah, no, he's fantastic. Like genuinely, I love all of his scenes.
I love like the fact that he is just the straight man to Doctor Strange was just so necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also just you know, in the finale to the film when like Strange rewinds time to save Wong and just goes, yeah, I know, don't mess with the fabric of time, and Wong goes, no, don't stop now. This is good. You keep doing you. You keep doing you.
And that's really the biggest difference between like Wong and Mordo in this film, isn't it? Is just like Wong is absolutely a believer in the spirit of the rules. Mm-hmm. Whereas Mordo seems more like he's inclined towards the letter.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, the actor who plays Mordo, Chiwetel Ejiofor, is in Serenity, the Firefly film, as the operative.
Oh, he's that guy, right?
Yeah. Which is, like, I watched the film and went, I fucking recognize this man. I'm not sure where from, but I recognize him. And then I looked it up and went, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense in the end.
He's been in lots, but he's really good.
He is very good, yeah.
I wish we saw more of him outside of this single film appearance, because he is
appearing in Multiverse of Madness, apparently.
And he's absolutely been set up as Doctor Strange's like nemesis, which is, of course, like in keeping with the theme of the comics, but like, so he's we can be confident, even if he like ends in Multiverse of Madness, which I hope he doesn't, because like he's a great actor and he makes a very charismatic. Especially, I like that this movie took the time to set up the fact that they have a good relationship beforehand, which most of the adaptations in comics don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for your concerns about Multiverse of Madness, I believe the villain of that movie is going to be Nightmare. So Mordo isn't going to take center stage in Doctor Strange 2, at least.
I hope he doesn't kill Wong.
I would be so sad if he killed Wong.
I don't want Wong to die.
No one wants Wong to die.
I feel like the only way Wong dies in the story is if Benedict Wong decides he doesn't want to play the character anymore.
And I doubt that's going to happen, because this is probably his biggest and most popular role.
Yeah, he's having a lot on the
no, he's been in mostly
I think he's just having
smaller scale stuff.
I think he just has fun as Wong in the fucking MCU.
I mean, like, MCU characters are pretty fun to play overall, especially when the movies themselves are good. Like, even when the movies aren't that good, they're allowed to improv a decent amount, so I'm just kind of like, I don't see why you would just do it forever.
Yeah.
Like Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson also
his way into it, but like, I mean, if I could, I would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel I believe Chris Hemsworth has also been of that opinion, right? Like, especially after Ragnarok, he's kind of just like, yeah, I'm kind of just here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. His collaboration with Taika Waititi is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that when we talk about Ragnarok.
Yeah. So we should probably talk about Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange.
He's good in the role, I think.
He is good.
I just like I miss his accent.
You miss his English accent, yeah.
He just sounds so much better. Like, I'm just like, I get it. I get the Doctor Strange is supposed to be an American character, but you made like an old Asian man into Tilda Swinton. So I feel
Bold
like you could
Tilda
make...
Swinton.
Huh?
Bold Tilda Swinton.
Bold Tilda Swinton, yes, which is even more interesting. So I feel like you could have gotten away with like just making Doctor Strange like he could be American, an immigrant. just like someone who moved to America to practice medicine. Like,
I mean, hell, just set the fucking first part of the film in England.
Well, I don't think they'd allow that because America. But
fuck America.
Yes,
but like at the same time, fuck England.
Right? It's kind of just like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But yeah, I'm kind of just like, just make him British so we can like hear his accent because he has such a nice voice, and like it's not that his American accent is bad, right?
No, it's a good American accent.
He sounds very natural.
Yeah.
He sounds like an upper class white cishet American man.
Mm-hmm.
But like at the same time, I love his accent.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good accent.
We also haven't mentioned another amazing part of the movie, which is the cloak of levitation.
I like the cake.
Yeah.
The cape is best, boy.
Yeah.
Cape is the best.
The cape is actually its sentience has actually been. It varies in the comics, but I think this is like making it super sapient and aware and just like kind of a teddy bear is like a really.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, a teddy bear who murders, because I'm pretty sure it did suffocate that one guy.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It did.
It 100% did. Also, yeah, it's a rare film in which the day is saved by annoying the villain into leaving.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite parts of the entirety of the MCU. Because that is something that is so in line with Doctor Strange as a character, and also just like such a creative way of resolving the situation.
It is an incredibly creative way of resolving the situation.
Like that alone is not something you expect from a big budget blockbuster movie.
Yeah,
no, you expect some big bad fight scene, and then no, it's Doctor Strange just straight up hassles the villain into just
do we even
rage quitting?
Do we in the climax in Hong Kong? Do we even get much of a fight between Strange and Caecilius?
No, he kind of just gets eaten by Dormammu. Also, Dormammu is. I will say this though. Dormammu is a significantly more fun villain in the comics because he's very campy in the comics. So, like, you know how he's like this very serious guy? Dormammu in the comics is almost like Skeletor
Mm.
from like the original He-Man. He's just kind of like, yeah, and kind of just like
Fun fact: Dormammu
messing around.
Dormammu also portrayed by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
He does have a tendency to do that, doesn't he?
He does love his motion capture roles.
He was good at
Have you seen the behind-the-scenes stuff of him as Smaug?
Yes.
Yes.
It's amazing. I love it.
He had so much fun with that role.
Yeah, no, he does. Is like Benedict Cumberbatch has a minor in Andy Serkis, which is something a lot of people don't realize. Andy Serkis also another wasted character, but we'll get to that later.
I'll still love whenever he appears. He's fantastic.
I love him appearing. As I told you, my biggest regret about the MCU is that probably for budget reasons, a lot of the best actors and characters end up being killed off in the same movie that they have a major role in.
Yeah.
Which I understand why, for financial reasons and stuff, but they're so good, and I just want them to be there more and do stuff.
I mean, it's part of a lengthy tradition of movie supervillains dying.
Yeah.
True, but one might argue that the MCU kind of is what subverted that tradition after many years.
Yeah.
By having arc villains.
Do we all want to discuss the romance subplot between Strange and Palmer?
It's kind of just
it's there. It's there to be there.
Yeah. I feel like there was more sexual tension between Strange and Mordo than there was Strange and Christine Palmer.
There's more sexual tension between Strange and Wong than there is between Strange and Palmer.
That would be a very BDSM heavy relationship.
I mean, they already got the BD in there.
So yeah, I feel like that was kind of there in the same way that the romance in the original Thor film was there.
Good thing we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yes, but like it's the whole thing where the characters in the source material have a history, so they kind of just throw it at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
It usually doesn't stick.
Yeah. Like, the biggest issue with Christine as a character is that she's just, like, she doesn't really contribute to the plot much beyond being, like, an anchor for Doctor Strange's morality early on.
Which, funnily enough, again, Wong is better at that.
Yeah.
Well, Wong is more capable of kicking his ass if he does something wrong, and is more willing to kick his ass if he does something wrong. That is also
a fair point. Also, let's be real, the real morality pet of the series is the cape.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
The cape is just such a good boy.
Yeah.
Well, good cape. I'm not sure of the cape's gender.
Should we move on then?
Yeah.
Or is there anything else to say about Doctor Strange?
How do you guys feel about the change to the character of the Ancient One?
It was a no-win.
As somebody who hasn't read the comics, meh. It was fine.
Well, no, it's more the whole turning a non-white character into a white person.
Like, the issue is that if they had kept the character as an Asian, there would have been the very real possibility of it being like the stereotypical old Asian magic master.
True, but my argument against that is Wong. Right? If they can make Wong into from like a racist stereotype into like such a pivotal part of the series and just a great character in general, they could have pulled off something similar with the Ancient One.
I feel like it's different because they had to change Wong's character to make it so that it wasn't fitting that racial stereotype. And changing the Ancients One character would have affected the story too much, most likely.
I don't know, they changed the character pretty heavily.
Fair enough. I don't know. Not read the fucking comics. Can't get into comics because they're so fucking huge. And I have a compulsion to start at the beginning of things.
Like the optimal way to experience comic books is to go on a wiki dive.
Yeah.
No, it's to go on a wiki dive. That is the optimal way to experience comic books in the modern era. Either that, well, one thing is easier. For example, some DC generally has like a reboot every few years, so you can kind of start from the beginning with a lot of DC comics.
There's also standalones and Elseworlds, like
yes,
Kingdom Come, for instance, is a good one.
But for the Marvel Comics universe, absolutely the optimal scenario is wiki dive.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like the argument can certainly be made and is an incredibly valid that yes, they could have had an Asian actor or actress play the role of the Ancient One, but regardless, I still think Tilda Swinton did a very good job as the Ancient One. Tilda
Swinton did a great job by being bald Tilda Swinton. I think it's kind of just like a difficult argument to make either way, right? Because it didn't necessarily for example, it didn't necessarily have to be an elderly Asian man. It could have been a young Asian woman.
They apparently said they believed a younger Asian woman would be perceived as exploiting Asian fetish and be a fanboy's dream girl.
I mean, older Asian woman then
would invoke the dragon lady stereotype.
That's
Like I
the thing,
said,
isn't it? Is that, like,
a
Again,
situation.
it is a no-win
it's a no-win
situation.
situation, yeah.
It is a no-win situation, and in hindsight, we can talk about how, they could have done this, but we all know that if they had, they would have been, accused of exactly what they feared.
Yeah, no, so they would have been accused of something either way.
Yeah.
And Tilda Swinton is a decent compromise.
Yeah, no. As I said, Tilda Swinton still does a great job, and I'm sure they could have found somebody to do a great job regardless, but, what's done is done. But if that is it for Doctor Strange, we should move on to the next film.
One more thing about Doctor Strange.
Oh?
The effects are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
CG in general has been really good for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because, they're throwing money at it.
They've got Disney's money to throw at it, and the mouse owns most of the world.
Yeah.
All hail the benevolent Overlord Mouse, by the way. Please don't crush us with your mighty will.
We are totally saying this of our free will.
We don't have any guns to our heads.
Nope, there is not a drone strike locked on if we
insult the
say
mouse.
a single word out of line. Yes.
As much as it is terrible that it's happening, I do just love it.
Is kind of funny.
I do just love the idea of the mouse just taking over the world.
Yes,
and it is terrible. It is terrible. We should not be letting Disney, have as much control
monopolize
as it does.
Media.
Monopolize media the way it is. But at the same time, it's just funny imagining Mickey Mouse as a benevolent dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
well, benevolent is perhaps not the word.
Benevolent is probably the wrong word, but dictator is the right one. Anyway, moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So let me just get the summary up. After a mission as the Guardians of the Galaxy, Peter meets his dad, Ego, who invites them to his planet. Peter discovers his dad is planning to take over the universe and killed his mum. Meanwhile, Yondu is hunting the Guardians and finds Rocket, Groot, and Nebula, who had been left behind. Yondu's crew mutinies, and he is forced to kill most of them before heading to Ego's planet with Rocket and Groot. There, the group, along with Ego's assistant Mantis, kill Ego, stopping his plan, survive an attack by the Sovereigns, who were the people they did the job for at the start of the film. They were pissed because Rocket stole some of their batteries and made a getaway at the expense of Yondu, who sacrifices himself for Peter. This film does still fall into the issue I have with Guardians of the Galaxy, which is I'm not sure why these people are friends with each other.
It's like Baby Groot, though.
Baby Groot is fine. Baby Groot is precious and adorable and can do no wrong. The rest of them are just kind of shades of asshole, other than maybe Drax.
I mean, I understand why Rocket and Baby Groot are friends, because it's not that they're friends, it's that Rocket is Groot's dad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can be a dick and still be a decent dad. Like, he's very good to Groot.
Yeah.
It does fall in with the theme of parenthood throughout this movie.
Yeah, so Rocket is Groot's dad, and we get the whole Yondu is his real dad, even though he's not his biological dad.
I do appreciate that Yondu, despite being, like, Peter's quote-unquote real father, isn't portrayed as, like, this perfect, flawless figure, but, like...
No, he's also a dick.
Individual who's also an asshole to Peter.
Well, everyone is a dick, but, like, they care. For some reason.
Yes.
Like, at this point, I know your point is that why are these people friends with each other? But honestly, it kind of feels a lot more genuine than a lot of relationships. Because, like, in real life, this is not uncommon, this sort of relationship where everyone's kind of a dick to each other, but, like, they still kind of care.
At the same time, it's also just, hard for me to enjoy a film with Chris Pratt anymore.
I'm not sure why. What did he do?
The whole goes to a church that is anti-LGBT and tried to defend that fact.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah, I'm
God.
trying to ignore that when
Oh
talking
no,
about
Mario's a turf.
not necessarily, but yeah, Mario is a dingus.
I
Or
mean,
the
let's
played
be
by a
real.
dingus.
That's probably not too far off the character in the source material.
You mean Star-Lord?
No, Mario.
Mario doesn't have any characterization.
No, but like he just feels like he might be a bit of a dick.
Hmm.
Not
Anyways,
to mention, there was, he's just been famously a very prickly and not overly nice person. Like,
Chris Pratt is the worst of the four Chris's.
and he was very upset about that fact.
What, that he
Wait,
got
there's four?
yeah,
Hemsworth,
Chris
Evans,
Hemsworth,
Pratt. Who's the fourth?
Pine.
Chris Pine, Captain Kirk.
Okay, yeah, but like, there's only three Chris's in the MCU, though.
Yeah, Chris Pine is in the DC.
We kind of like forget that Chris Pine exists.
Chris Pratt is still the worst Chris, though.
Yeah. And he complained loudly
Yeah, Chris Pine is neutral, whereas Chris Pratt actually dips into the negative.
And Pratt complained massively about that and got people defending him for some reason.
Yeah, it was weird and dumb.
Chris Hemsworth is the best Chris, though. I feel like we can agree on that.
It's a very close fight between him and Evans.
Yeah, they're both really great.
I think it's more personal preference at that point.
For me personally, he gets points because of the accent.
Mm.
I prefer Hemsworth's rugged good looks to Evans's sort of good choir boy looks.
I mean, that's part of why he's such a good Captain America, though.
That said, both of them can still crush a head with their thighs.
Yes. But let's get back to talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Because it is a pretty damn good movie, honestly.
One of the few MCU films I watched before my huge binge.
Interesting.
Mostly because
Did
of Batista.
that change the experience?
Not that I remember. I still enjoy the film because I mean that's the thing. The Guardians of the Galaxy films are fairly standalone in terms of the MCU.
At least until later on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't if I hadn't have watched the rest of the MCU. I'm sure I probably wouldn't be able to watch the third Guardians film.
It's got like two Chris's in it, though.
And Hemsworth is 100% going to overshadow Pratt.
Which is also kind of part of the plot.
Yeah.
Like in universe is the fact that it's his Guardians of the Galaxy now.
It's hilarious how it's actually dipping into real life subtext.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to 2. Taserface, yay or nay?
Some of the jokes are funny, but I don't think he's a particularly threatening antagonist.
Oh, that's not what I was meaning. I was just meaning about the name.
Oh, it's funny.
I was more meaning, is it a threat? Is it a threatening good name or just stupidly dumb?
Here is my question about the name. Do tasers exist in space? And if so, like, why though?
It's the name. It's another name for a phaser, except it's a stunning phaser.
Like, you get what I mean, right? It's just like,
yeah.
Do you remember who gave him the name?
James Gunn said that he felt the character had given himself the name Taserface.
No, but like in universe.
No, in universe. James Gunn said in an interview that Taserface probably gave the name.
Yeah, but how does he know what a taser is?
Fuzzy, I think you're
but yes, anyway, like
questioning the logic too much.
look,
Literally,
like...
literally, the 5-year-old son of the creator came up with the name Taserface.
That's
That
hilarious.
makes a lot of sense, actually.
Aha! Okay. Here it is. Taserface is an advanced scout for the Stark and came from a planet inhabited by primitive beings. One day, a cache of armor and technology created by Tony Stark wound up on their planet. The inhabitants quickly adapted themselves to the new technology, calling themselves the Stark after their idol, and proceeded to misuse their newfound gift to conquer other planets. I assume they also named themselves after the technology.
That's... I did not know that little comic book fact, and that's amazing.
That's great.
And, like, considering how Tony Stark in the comics is much more intergalactic, I really wonder how the meeting went. Because I feel like Tony Stark is the type to absolutely cash in a civilization that worships him.
Depends on which writer is handling him, but yes.
So yeah, I think the issue with Guardians 2 is that there's not a lot to talk about because it's kind of just like it goes by pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do want to shout out fucking Kurt Russell's ego.
Kurt Russell does a fantastic turn as the villain.
Again, I just wish there was more Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
It makes sense that Ego had to die at least this time around because he was kind of like
a god.
An apocalyptic threat. So yeah, it makes sense that he had to die. But also just like with regards to the film itself, I feel like the film is one of the more thematically strong and cohesive MCU films. Just as it revolves around the theme of family, and especially toxic and abusive family. Like, Lindsay Ellis did a really good video about this movie that I would definitely recommend everyone check out. Because it does the video does a really good job of explaining the themes of the movie. But overall, I think this movie is one of the more thematically coherent MCU films, and also has an extremely good soundtrack like the first Guardians. Like, seriously, great soundtrack.
Also, I still love Drax just because I also love Batista.
Drax is great. We didn't talk really much about Gamora and Nebula's role in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of had that whole, like, again, with the theme of family was not just parent and child.
And it really works to show, like, despite the fact that they care about each other, they still hurt each other.
Which, again, is very true to life.
And
they were in a shitty abusive situation, but they still hurt each other.
And, it's definitely, I would say, the start of Nebula's face turn.
Yeah. Nebula is kind of a fascinating character to me because, like, she's very underplayed in the first Guardians movie, but you can see her get a character arc across all the movies she's in. Yeah. And it's really interesting to see.
Yeah, it really comes to a head in Endgame, where she spoilers.
Yeah. Yes, we'll talk about that when we talk about Endgame. I get the feeling we're going to spend a long time talking about Endgame.
Probably.
Yeah, if there's anything else...
the Sovereign are around. Gold people.
Oh yeah, they're going to be making Adam Warlock for Guardians 3, so that's going to be fun.
Which is funny, because Adam Warlock has initially played a pivotal role in the comics Infinity War, which is it's interesting that they're still having him in, but they're shuffling him around like that.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Also,
So it makes me curious as what role he's
I
going to
will
play.
say, from a comics point of view, making Star-Lord's dad be Ego the Living Planet is a lot more interesting than making his dad Jason of Spartax.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Really dumb, yes. At least with
Ego, there's a lot of potential of exploring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the comics, his dad is just a dude named, well, it's Jason, with like an apostrophe after the J, of Spartax, which is just the most generic alien warrior race you can ever find, named after Sparta. So it's just like, it's much more flavorful. To be fair, as much as we can question Chris Pratt as a person, Star-Lord is a much more flavorful character in the MCU simply because he's a dork and less competent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, like, in the comics, he is like the generic grizzled white man video game protagonist.
That tracks.
Like, there is nothing interesting about him in the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, we owe thanks to Star-Lord being interesting to James Gunn.
Guardians in general, I think the only part of Guardians of the Galaxy that is, like, good in the comics is basically Rocket and Groot. They're the only ones that didn't really have significant changes. Like, for example, did you know that the character of Drax is, he is so different in the comics?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he a guy from Earth in the comics?
He's just a dude from Earth who got experimented on. And his character is also generic, middle-aged, edgy white dude.
Yeah. Gamora is at least a little bit more interesting than Star-Lord or Drax.
I actually would say Gamora is more interesting in the comics than in the MCU. She's a lot more snarky.
Ah, yeah.
She's like
she's a lot more serious in the movies.
Yeah, in I think overly so to a certain extent, but because like in the comic books, Gamora is basically like kind of like how Captain Marvel is in the MCU. Gamora's character is pretty similar.
Yeah. I think that they made her more serious to kind of bounce off the zaniness of the rest of the cast, because they made Star-Lord and Drax a lot goofier in the movies.
Yeah, they needed her to sort of be the straight
They
woman.
needed a straight man, yeah.
Yeah, still, I think she's good in the movies.
Despite being the adopted daughter of Thanos, she is probably the most normal of the cast, the main cast.
Says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Certainly the last thing that I have to say is this film, or the how it should have ended for this film has one of my favorite gags for all of the Hishies, which is Ego in the villain's bar explaining how he won, and then like just the villains just suddenly realizing, wait, you won? Oh no! And then fucking like Waiter Thanos just comes in and just goes, I have a problem with this, and then just the fucking wave just overruns them all.
Yeah. Great.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure in a direct confrontation between Ego and Thanos, it would come down to how many stones Thanos has gotten by that point.
I mean, I think I'm without having not watched them for a while, I'm fairly sure the gag of Thanos in the Hishis is that he is just a butt monkey.
Yeah, he is. Like, consistently.
I can't remember why exactly, but he is. Other than, that it's funny.
I'm pretty sure that's the only reason they're used to me.
Have you watched the one episode of What If?
I haven't. I haven't watched any of What If yet, actually.
It's interesting. Also, just so you're aware, they kill Tony Stark a lot in What If.
To be fair, you kind of need Tony Stark to be dead or a different character, like without character development for a lot of what if scenarios to happen.
Fair.
It just goes to
It's still funny.
It does. True, but it does go to show how he is very much the main character of the Thanos saga.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Tony Stark is the main character of the MCU from phases 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we should move on, just because of time constraints.
It's time constraints, yes.
Moving on to Spider-Man Homecoming. God. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes. Yes.
So, in summary, Peter Parker tries to balance being a high school kid and a competent hero with little success. He tries to hunt down a group using advanced weaponry they'd scavenged from the Chitauri attack from Avengers 1, but has to be saved by Tony Stark twice, the second time leading to the confiscation of his advanced suit. Peter then once again tries to be a normal kid and asks his crush out for homecoming, only to discover her dad is the leader of the weapons dealers, Vulture. Peter abandons his date and the dance and goes after Vulture, defeating him without his suit, but also realizing that Stark was right when he said Peter wasn't ready to join the Avengers, even though Stark had changed his mind by that point.
I have to say, Michael Keaton is one of the best, plays one of the best MCU villains in this movie.
Speaking of dads, by the way.
Yeah, I just want to say, this film is so hard to get through, not because it's bad, but because it so accurately portrays the experience of a nerdy, awkward high schooler.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why Tom Holland makes such a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is who Spider-Man is as a person. He is a nerdy, awkward high schooler well into his 30s and 40s.
Yeah. And
again, Spider-Verse's depiction of old man Spider-Man, old Peter Parker, is just so accurate because
he's still just a giant fucking nerd at the heart of it.
He's just like a dork, like who is still a child. That is why I think Holland is the best Spider-Man, because like the others, the live action ones just lacked that childishness.
Yeah.
They lack the je ne sais quoi that is Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just lack. That is core to the Spider-Man character.
I will also say that, like, Tom Holland is just a really good actor too.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent. Tom Holland also has a very good American accent.
Tom Holland is like, not gonna lie, I didn't realize he was British until well after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to just say, like, this movie has some really great scenes all around, but my favorite scene in the movie has got to be, well, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the scene where Vulture is driving Peter and Liz to the prom.
That scene is so great because you can just fucking feel the oh god, what do I do? Oh god.
Not to mention the slow dawning realization that Vulture is having, like, oh shit, this kid is Spider-Man.
Which, again, that alone makes him a more competent villain than a lot of Spider-Man's actual rogues gallery, like in the comics. Cause it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But so Spider-Man is just wonderful. Like, this is probably the single most true to comics, like true to source material adaptation of a character in the MCU.
Yeah.
Because they changed more or less nothing.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? The only change was in fact a positive one. Ned.
Yes.
He's kind of like he's kind of an MCU original character, and I love him. He's adorable.
No, Ned is great. I love Ned.
Ned's fantastic.
Like, I think Spider-Man usually does have, like, some form of human sidekick, but never, like, as fun as Ned.
Yeah.
Like, usually, what's funny is that usually the human sidekick almost functions as a straight man to Spider-Man, and it's the opposite with Ned, and that just makes it so good.
Again, it's just, like, it is so nice to get to see them on occasion, you know, geeking out about stuff. Like when...
making a Lego Death Star?
Making a Lego Death Star, after Ned had found out that Peter was Spider-Man, like, them talking about the heroes he had met, and, like, Peter going, I stole Captain America's shield, and Ned just going, oh my god!
I mean, it's kind of an achievement.
Yeah.
I think
another. I mean, you say they didn't make many changes. Another change is MJ.
Like, MJ in the comics is a really good character, but I don't mind the change that they made with her here.
I do genuinely enjoy her character, especially when they were at the what was it, the Washington Monument.
Yeah,
and she was like, I don't want to go anywhere that was built with slave labor. The teacher goes, I don't think, looks at the guy, just sort of goes, it's iffy. Oh, okay, you can stay out here.
So, what's funny is that other than the actress, they didn't really change her character that much. Like, there's a few subtle changes, but, like, I feel like
they kind of did, but, like, it's more of a character update than a character change.
Yes, exactly. I'm kind of just like, it's about as much of a change as, like, the change to say Captain America and making him kind of less racist, because like he kind of has some racist tendencies in like the source material.
Yeah, that's more prominent in the Ultimate comics, which are a lot.
It's more prominent, but like no, they like most of the character. Like what I'm trying to say is that MJ is not the first character to get an update like that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of updates,
it's just like I do like the people who are complaining about the change are bigots, more or less, like exclusively.
Speaking of people complaining about changes and being bigots, Flash Thompson.
Oh yeah, no, that's also just bigotry.
Yeah,
when they're complaining about the change.
Flash Thompson's changes makes sense, a lot of sense.
I also like the fact that Flash Thompson isn't jock in this one.
Yeah.
Because that just makes him even more...
Even more pathetic, really.
Yes, because he's never supposed to be a character that's impressive in any way.
Yeah.
Like, the purpose of Flash Thompson is a butt monkey.
Yeah.
That is his purpose in life, and the fact that he had some sort of advantage, like being a jock, it just made him less so. So I am absolutely for a change where he's just kind of a rich kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the big issue is the role that Tony Stark plays in this film, I would say.
Yeah.
And whether he
the fact
plays
that Tony Stark is now Uncle Ben.
That, and whether he plays too much of a part in what's supposed to be a Spider-Man film.
So the thing is, I think he plays just enough of a part. I think he's like the fact that he's not actively part of the movie, like he's like in universe, he is trying to not be too much of a part.
Yeah.
Right? That I think is an interesting take, and like let's be real, he has a very, very good dynamic with Spider-Man in this. The MCU.
I think he does have I think he has a good dynamic with Spider-Man in general. It's just that
generally they're more peers in the comics.
Yeah.
Very rarely, like Spider-Man has had a lot of mentors, usually Tony Stark is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the thing is, it's because generally in the comics, Spider-Man is sometimes a tool for, like, the roles are almost reversed sometimes, where Tony Stark is the one that leads, or like Spider-Man is the one that leads to Tony Stark's character development in a few stories in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the opposite here because the timeline is different.
Yeah.
But I think it adds to the movie. I don't think it like detracts from the film that Tony Stark has such a big role.
I think it's fine in this film. The next Spider-Man film is a discussion to have later, but
the next Spider-Man film is just outright a replacement for Uncle Ben.
We'll talk about that more when we get to the film.
Oh, how do you guys feel about the fact that this is the first superhero movie in the past 400 years that is not the origin story of the character?
I think it's good because obviously we know the origin of the character. We don't need to see it again.
The origin. Like,
we have seen Uncle Ben get shot way too many times.
It's like just let the man stay dead.
Yeah. You genuinely just don't need to say any more than Peter Parker, bitten by a radioactive spider, now has spider-like powers. That's it. Or that's all you have to say. Because we all know...
It's funny.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I wonder how into the lore they're going to get. Because, like, the original Spider-Man movies never really got into the deep spider lore.
Yeah.
Are you talking about, like, the totem shit and the...
Yes, the fact that Spider-Man is like more closer to Black Panther than he is to any other superhero because he is literally the avatar of a spider god. Yes.
I don't know if they'll ever get to that in the MCU. That really depends on how this...
They did do some they got into some of the more, like... I mean, if they didn't, why would they make a character like Thanos the arch villain? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, he's an important character, but he's not one of the well-known ones from the Marvel. Like he's kind of known, but, like, not really to the extent that you can build a franchise around him, or so we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and then they put him in the stinger for the first Avengers, and the rest is history.
And, the fact that Doctor Strange is such an important part and, like, seems to have... Like, the fact that they're having Doctor Strange and Peter Parker be more involved makes a lot of sense, because they kind of both live in the same city. Like, they're, like, next-door neighbors.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's involved, I feel like it's not out of the question that in, like, Far From Home, even, they might introduce some elements of the Spider Totem.
You mean No Way Home?
Right, no way. Hey, look,
they do have similar names. They have similar names.
Hey, they're very cool
at the same time.
So two things I want to mention. First, the minor one, which is that I also love Peter's teacher.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He's like I do like that they sometimes just decide to add human characters that aren't really a thing in the comics. That does make things more fun a lot of the time.
Just as, you know, basically a complete sad sack who barely has control over his students, and it's just great.
He barely has control over his own life, let alone his students.
Yeah. The other one, the more major one that I wanted to mention, is the sort of cameo of Aaron Davis.
Oh, yeah.
What did he... Who was he?
He is Miles Morales' uncle, and in the movie, first he was buying weapons from Vulture's gang, and then he was interrogated by Peter incredibly badly and left stuck to the trunk of his car while his ice cream melted.
Which, honestly, is like a really good backdoor pilot for Miles Morales.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Oh, it is. Because he even in the movie he even mentions his nephew.
Not by name, but
not by name,
but completely missed that.
Not by name, but the fact that he has a nephew, and that we know that he's Aaron Davis, so it's not a hard connection to make.
Though I feel like they're probably gonna have to wait a bit, because if you go by the timeline, I'm not sure how old Miles Morales would be at this point in the MCU.
Yeah,
like 12 at least at the beginning.
Because usually the age gap.
How old he is really depends on if he got snapped or not.
That's what I was gonna say. I think what they're gonna do is have him be one of the ones who didn't get snapped, because that allows them to add 4 years to his age.
That would actually be a very interesting take on it. Yeah, no, I didn't consider that. If he didn't get snapped, then that would kind of solve the age issue.
Yeah, because that allows them to add 4 years onto his age without having to do anything.
5 years.
5 years. Sorry, 5 years. So yeah. Well, 4 years. It depends on his birthday, I suppose.
It's 5 years full, so.
That would be a very interesting it would be funny if Aaron Davis also didn't get snapped, and that's how he kind of establishes himself as a character. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do find it interesting because, the Prowler is a very different character depending on the adaptation. So, there is a non-zero chance that he doesn't die, depending on whether or not the actor wants to keep going with the MCU.
It's Donald Glover. He apparently wanted to just be Spider-Man, so I'm fairly sure he'll be fine.
I mean, you know what? I feel like Donald Glover would have made a really good Miles Morales, but he's a bit too old is the only thing.
I'm fairly sure he wanted to play Miles Morales. I'm almost certain he probably did want to play Miles Morales and was just told, you're just a bit too old at this point.
Just you can be the Prowler, though. It's fine, you can still be in the Miles Morales movie.
Because he's 38 at this point. I love Donald Glover, but yeah.
The key is not that he is 38, but that he looks like he's in his late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
It's not like Tom Holland's a high school student. He's in his 20s, but he just has a baby face.
25, perpetually looks like he's 15.
Yes, exactly.
What else is that for this film?
I feel like our discussions on the MCU movies always become more meta discussions than actual content discussions, because the content has been done to death, and I think the meta discussion is more interesting.
We've all watched the fucking films, honestly, so...
Yes, it's not we don't need to tell people what the content is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely missed the fact... I completely missed the fact that Donald Glover was playing Aaron Davis.
Yeah.
Right? I had a feeling that the character was someone from the comics, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I think because you don't see a lot of pre-establishment Prowler.
Yeah.
Right? By the time you see Prowler, he's usually established himself as the Prowler.
Yeah.
So it's kind of less noticeable when he's kind of just a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also... I do want to talk about just a couple of the other scenes in the movie, because it is a very good movie with some really great scenes. But, I love the scene, the entire montage of Peter just going around doing his day-to-day routine. It's just a really nice character-building bit, and just really funny.
That one dude just yelling, "Do a flip!" Does a flip. Yeah!
One second, hang on.
What else? I mean, as I said, just MJ just being snarky was always fantastic.
That was also great. Oh, I love the bit where Ned is caught in the computer lab helping Spider-Man, and it's like, "What are you doing here?" And it's like, watching porn."
Oh, and the fact that Peter just takes Flash's dad's car.
That's also great. I also, on a more serious note, I really love the scene of Peter trapped under the rubble and managing to lift it off of himself.
Yeah.
Just like a really great scene, and apparently it's a comics reference as well. Like almost beat for beat.
Yeah. So a couple of other things that I want to mention before we should move on. The principal of Peter's school is a descendant of one of the Howling Commandos. Yeah. Played by the same actor because, of course.
I believe the principal is the grandson of the commando.
Yes, very possibly. It just says descendant on Wiki. The other one is to do with the post-credit scene or mid-credit scene, which is the possible introduction of, I believe, Scorpion?
Scorpion, yes. Mac Gargan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if or when he'll become relevant because, by all indications, he's not going to be in the third Spider-Man movie, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that that scene also has Vulture actively not selling out Peter, which is interesting.
Again, because...
And it makes you wonder why.
Well, because this Vulture isn't a bad guy.
True.
Like, he's... You know, he was just a shit-upon worker who tried to take an opportunity.
So, you know what's funny? Is that this is one of those things where the character is the polar opposite of the source material, and it's for the better.
Yeah.
Because do you know what Vulture was in, like, Adrian Toomes, in the original, in the comics, is a rich dude who was dying, is a rich old... He's Mr. Burns. I'm not joking. He is a rich dude in a real... Like, he is just... one-to-one Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
In the comics. And, like, to change him to what is basically a blue-collar worker who's just trying to, like, make sure his family is taken care of.
Yeah.
And his employees are taken care of is just, like, it's a very, very positive change of the character.
Yeah.
And yes, the key point is that he's, like, not a bad dude, and he understands that Peter is also, like, a good person.
He's a good person, and he's a kid. He's not going to set a fucking, you know, hardened criminal after him. Not when he's the same age as his daughter.
He's friends with his daughter.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and he's a very caring father, so, like, it's just kind of just, like... Okay, he understands where Peter is coming from, and realizes he's a decent enough and rational enough individual to realize that if he were to rat out Peter, he would be the one in the wrong.
Yeah.
And, like, he still has a sense of morality, because it's like, it's not like he was, for the most part, he wasn't really stealing from, like, people who would miss it.
Yeah.
No, he was stealing from Stark Technologies.
Which, let's be real, Tony's not as much of a dick anymore, but it's not like he's gonna miss the money. It's more the arms dealing thing that's kind of iffy.
To be fair, he wasn't even selling that stuff. He was just transferring it from one place to another.
That's fair as well, yeah.
Anyway, but we should move on to the next film, and probably one of the best in the MCU as a whole, let alone Phase 3. Thor Ragnarok.
It's also
Taika Waititi is a gem.
He is a gem.
Taika Waititi is a genius.
So, in summary, Thor kills Surtur, the future bringer of Ragnarok, and then arrives in Asgard to find Loki disguised as Odin. With the help of Doctor Strange, the two track down Odin moments before his death, which releases Thor's sister Hela into the world, who quickly defeats the brothers and takes over Asgard. Thor finds himself in Sakaar, and with the eventual help of Loki, Hulk, a Valkyrie, and Best Rock Korg, escapes to Asgard. The group, along with Heimdall, who had already been leading a resistance, take on Hela and her army, but only by inducing Ragnarok is she defeated, and the remnants of Asgard's population is left adrift just in time to be waylaid by a threatening spaceship.
So, my only complaint for this is that I understand why the executives and like Kevin Feige and the people in charge of the MCU did not want to do Planet Hulk. I get it.
Yeah.
But I do kind of wish they'd done Planet Hulk.
Planet Hulk would have been really interesting, but at the same time, the Planet Hulk light treatment was good here.
Counterpoint, counterpoint, we get to see Hulk's thick-ass cheeks.
That is true. I will not argue, but like
and Hulk's junk is seared into Thor's brain,
which is just glorious.
Also, I said I'd be mentioning this later, or I said earlier that I would be mentioning this. Short-haired Chris Hemsworth is hot as fuck.
He is very attractive, yes.
I mean, the scene where they cut Thor's hair is one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
Because it's just... it's damn near perfect as Stan Lee cameos go.
But also, didn't we, like... I completely forgot to mention this, but wasn't Guardians 2 the one where they revealed that the Stan Lee is, in fact, a character and not just a cameo? He is an observer?
Yeah. He is literally an informant for the Watchers. And that
if they can be bothered,
cameo.
He's an informant for the Watchers if they can be bothered to listen to him.
Or if he can be bothered to show up.
Yeah. It also happens during my favorite sequence in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which we kind of brushed over, but still, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The cameo here is really good, too.
So, yeah, also Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, always love him, hamming up the place.
As a character... Yeah, no, just Jeff Goldblum and like the Jeff Goldblum and we didn't talk at all about Benicio del Toro because he didn't show up in Guardians 2. Did he?
Yeah.
Not in Guardians 2. He showed up in Guardians 1. We might have talked about him, but I can't remember.
But yeah, like just like you get some of these actors who just like play what is essentially a one-off role that I still love because like they're just so good at being that guy.
Yeah.
Like this is
Jeff Goldblum is just the perfect actor for just this type of role.
I mean, to be fair, like it's Jeff Goldblum as Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
For the most part, and it's just like that's kind of why we hired Jeff Goldblum in the first place.
Yeah.
He's just really good in the film.
You know who hasn't shown up yet in the MCU, but who really should?
No.
Jack Black.
Oh yes, Jack Black needs to be in there.
The question is, what role is he going to play?
I feel like if Jack Black could get away with it, he would absolutely want to be like in as many movies as possible. Like he is just a turbo nerd.
Jack Black at this point just seems like he's having fun with his roles. He just doesn't care what the fuck he's in. He just wants to enjoy himself.
I don't blame him.
There's kind of a lot of like really major actors who aren't in the MCU yet, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would be great as several roles, but I think he would probably be best as Heracles.
He would. I mean, like the role's kind of built for him. My only concern is that I want him to be in a bigger role.
Yeah.
I mean, they are in Thor 4. They already cast Zeus, so they are likely to bring in Hercules.
So you know, I mean, I feel like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would make a decent character in whatever role you cast him in. Like, there's a lot of buff dudes in the MCU.
In the Marvel Comics, you mean?
Yeah, in the Marvel Comics, yes.
I just want to point out another fantastic actor who is kind of wasted, honestly. Carl Urban.
Right.
He is great when we do see him, but I wish Scourge didn't die at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of just like it's another one of those things where if they let every good actor in the MCU get as much screen time as they deserve, the movies would not have enough money to get made.
Yeah.
There's
Again,
also just the fact that they do recreate one of Scourge's most iconic scenes from the comics, at least.
What, when he arrives panting to announce Thor way too late?
Oh, the scene where he makes his last stand.
I know. I was joking just because I love that scene. I just love that entire scene of fucking what's his face, Anthony Hopkins acting like Loki.
Was great.
Look, Anthony Hopkins is a gem, and my only regret is that to be fair, this is not the first. This can be the first time that Anthony Hopkins has played Odin.
What else did he play Odin in?
Oh, I'm thinking of Beowulf. Never mind.
Oh, say.
Yeah. He was in Beowulf, he was great in Beowulf, but like, just the mythological sovereign character, like the mythological monarch, is kind of just he's built for that role.
Yeah.
I feel like he's probably also another one who's just been like, yeah, I've been in lots of stuff. I've made my mark on history. I'm just gonna have fun with my roles now.
Also, and I really like his delivery. He has one of my favorite lines in the MCU with one of the best deliveries because he's Anthony Hopkins. What are you, the god of magic hammers?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite.
I also just like his again acting as Loki. Just that when he sees Thor, oh shit.
Yeah.
Again, he just such a good job actually acting like fucking Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tom Hiddleston's Loki,
I love when he's sent into falling hell by Doctor Strange.
Oh god, I have been falling for 30 minutes!
Look, let's be real, Tom Hiddleston is also probably one of those guys who's just like, I'm fine with being Loki for the rest of my life.
No, he is 100% fine with it, and everyone is also fine with it.
Same. I love him as Loki.
Yeah. Like, you just get the feeling that they knew they could never actually kill him off permanently because it would just be a waste.
I mean, come to think of it, none of the deaths in Infinity War and Endgame besides Tony's have stuck, really.
Right, no. It's not the same Gamora, right? Like, it's a different Gamora.
At the same time, it's not the same Loki.
Yes, that's fair.
Though. But it's like they're still using the characters going forward. We'll talk about it when we get to the movies, actually.
Oh, tell you a death that followed through, from what we can tell, Heimdall. But that's for different movies.
Yeah. Heimdall was really good in Thor Ragnarok, though.
I feel like Idris Elba is one of them. I feel like Idris Elba...
Like, let's be real. The MCU has a lot of those actors. Idris Elba is kind of just like...
I would say there's two groups of actors. There's one who fucking love being their characters and will play them for as long as they are able. And then there's characters who don't mind their characters, but do want to try something different after a while.
Yeah.
And Idris Elba falls into that latter category.
And also, it's also the whole thing where Idris Elba is just another one of those people who seems to just be having fun with his roles at this point.
No, I think he definitely enjoys being Heimdall, but at the same time, he knows he's never going to have, like, a massive amount to do in these films. And
True, yes.
Probably does need to move on at some point.
I mean, I feel like Vin Diesel's never going to leave, though.
No, he's having too much fun playing Groot. Also,
go ahead.
The thing with this film is that it actually revitalized Chris Hemsworth's Chris Hemsworth's love for the
Yeah,
character.
he wanted to leave until he realized that Thor in the hands of a competent
writer and director
team is very fun.
Is very fun.
Yeah.
Being allowed to
'Cause, like,
actually
let's-
play it slightly comedically. play
Like, 'cause that's the
Thor as
thing.
just as a dumbass himbo.
Thor hasn't been a serious character for about 40 years. Like, in the comics universe. Like, Thor was serious in, like, the Silver Age when they were just introducing him. But, like, Thor as just the blonde himbo is just, that's been him. That's just who Thor is as a character in the comics.
At the same time, you know, this movie, Infinity War, and even Endgame show that it is distinctly possible to have both himbo Thor and badass destroyer Thor in the same movie.
Yeah.
And, like, actually give him character development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'm just remembering all the fantastic moments from this film, like when Thor first saw that it was Hulk he was fighting. and Loki's reaction to it of, oh god, no. Please, I've got to let me
reaction
leave.
to Thor getting ragdolled.
Yeah. I'm just a big fan of the sport. Oh, and then fucking Korg's reaction to when Thor does actually lose. Another day, another dog.
I also love...
So, you know what's funny? See, you know what's funny? Korg and Meek are better characters in this than they are in the comics.
Oh yeah, like, I'm certain.
Korg is generic rock dude, and Meek is a traitor in the comics.
Yeah. Meek
Whereas
is a traitor.
here, Korg is Taika Waititi. Like he's not a character.
He's not
Korg
playing a
is
character.
Taika
He's just being himself and just having fun.
Oh,
Like,
I remember the scene I want to talk about. One of my favorite scenes of the movie is when Banner is like, "All right, I gotta help Thor out," and it's like he jumps out the plane and just lands with a thud on the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh yeah.
Like you expect him to transform into the Hulk in midair, but no, he just splats on the fucking bridge.
No,
funny.
I love the fucking film long gag of rock paper scissors where fucking Korg stomps on Meek, Meek being scissors, and defeats him, but Korg was defeated because he didn't print enough pamphlets, aka paper.
It is a great little addition, and I like the fact that Meek is just Korg's son.
Yeah.
At the end, it's just like he's just raising a molted baby Meek.
Meek's dead. I just stomped him on the bridge and just felt so guilty. I've been carrying him around ever since.
And then he realizes, oh wait, no, Meek's alive. It's fine.
Meek, you're alive. Oh, what was your question, bro? It's just, I just love him. It's the fucking New Zealand accent that makes it. If he just had a generic American accent, it wouldn't be anywhere near as funny. But the fact that he's just this soft-spoken New Zealander.
Yeah, it's great. I also love the whole thing with Asgard blowing up, and it's like, oh, it could be a lot worse, and then it just explodes into a million pieces.
No, it's just as long as the foundations remain, you can always build anew, and then just kablooey. Oh, now the foundation. I spoke too soon. The foundations are gone. Yeah.
So there's another really funny thing in this series, or like in this that kind of it's a bit more subtle, and I don't even know if it was intentional. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you just kill Bruce Banner? Then there's no more Hulk, and then you realize, oh, he can fall from a plane onto a bridge and not be injured
that's the
at
thing.
all.
Didn't he even say in Avengers he tried to kill himself and Hulk wouldn't let him?
Yeah,
it's not even that. It's that if he if he takes any fatal damage as Bruce Banner, he just hulks out, and then when he de-hulks, he's fully healed.
Again,
he's functionally immortal.
Yeah. On that topic, though, again, fucking Banner and Hulk in this movie, fantastic.
Yeah,
I like Mark Ruffalo is just I hope he's Just,
Again, I feel like
into.
he's another one that falls into that pool of actors who are having so much fun with their characters now and don't want to stop.
And it's not like it's preventing him from doing other roles, because he's like done a fair few like dramatic roles, right? Like I feel like at this point, Hulk, like Bruce Banner and the Hulk, is just his cool down role.
Yeah, but again, just his facial expressions when they're in the Valkyrie's room, when like he says hello to Loki, it's like, last time I saw you, you wanted to kill everyone. How are you doing now? It varies from moment to moment, and then that just eyebrow raise of. And then he's just reactions during Thor's story about Loki turning into a snake and then stabbing Thor. Just like, and I didn't realize it was Loki, and then just no, just looking at Loki, just
get help.
Oh, get help.
Oh, right. I like the fact that they acknowledge that Thor and Loki, despite being man-children, are like 1,000 years old and have like centuries of rapport.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. I think this movie, more than either of the other Thor movies, really like got the brotherly relationship between the two of them right.
Yeah.
Like, I think the closest was in that early part in Thor when they were fighting the Frost Giants, and when Thor was walking away and got insulted, and Loki just went, "Here it comes," because he fucking knows exactly what's going to happen. But, you know, I do think this movie portrayed it better than any of the others, just because there was just that air of actual, like, relationship between the two of them and rapport, but also just, you know, tiredness from both of them of having to deal with the other's, like, idiosyncrasies. We also haven't talked about...
I have a confession to make after watching the Loki series and the confusing logo. Like, let's be real. Loki, the series, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The logo is just why. But like after that, after the Loki series, for some reason, whenever I think of MCU's Loki in my head, the name comes out Licko.
Something we haven't mentioned from this movie much is Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie is fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
she's an amazing actor, and the character's great too.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's you know, the chemistry between her and Thor is just superb. It is. All of the characters in this movie have good chemistry with each other, which I think is a
again, that's kind of that is because they're given room to have chemistry with each other. Like, I feel like the first two Thor movies were so focused on the idea of the characters that they didn't just let the characters be people. So well, I'm kind of just
I think the difference is the first two movies focused more on Thor and his sort of torn loyalties between being, you know, God of Thunder and just being a regular person. And Ragnarok just does away with that because it's not interesting and it's not fun.
Yeah, no, that's never been the point of Thor as a character. The point of Thor as a character has always been that he's kind of this larger-than-life character, and, like, the fact that he is a dude who just happens to, like, it's never been about being either a dude or the God of Thunder. It's just, he's always been a dude who just happens to be the God of Thunder. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like this really reinforced.
Yeah. Other things, I mean, we talked about Loki's reaction to the whole Doctor Strange bit. We didn't talk about Thor's whole thing with Doctor Strange. Just like,
he was just mesmerized by the refilling beer, and it was great.
Well, no, not just that. Just like, why didn't you get in contact with me? Why didn't you send me an email? And Doctor Strange's like, do you have a computer? No. Why does that matter? Yeah. Okay.
I do like the fact that. This is kind of the first time we see a relevant interaction across franchises.
Yeah.
Like from the non-main ones, like not the Captain Americas or the Iron Mans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Because like this is the first time
we see Doctor Strange interact with any of the Avengers, actually.
And he has a lot of fun just throwing Thor completely off balance.
I mean, to be fair, Thor was a big fan of the infinite beer.
Oh no, he was a big fan of the infinite beer, but like just seemed very dismissive of his whole deal of being a wizard.
I mean, to be fair, that's kind of like, I'm pretty sure Doctor Strange is dismissive of the fact that he's a wizard too.
Yeah. But also, just again, it's not even a big gag, but just the fact that when he was teleporting Thor around, at one point Thor took a bookshelf with him. It's like, oh, we don't need that. Teleported to the bookshelf and Thor back, and then just Thor, just completely throwing him off balance, and it's just great. And then when he's leaving and holds his hand out to get Mjolnir, and just you hear the crashing, and Thor's just whistling, just like. Sorry, this happens. I'm sorry.
And like, the whole time, you're perfectly aware of the fact that Strange could just open a portal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Between Mjolnir and Thor, and just bypass the shelves of precious, fragile magical artifacts. He just chooses not to.
Yeah. Oh, and then just the incredibleness of the fucking fight scene on the bridge.
It is great, and I do wish they involved Fenrir a bit more, but like he kind of just got ruffle stomped by Thor.
I wouldn't even say it was ruffle stomped. I think it was a fairly even fight, and it was just the fact that Hulk had hands to hold onto the cliff.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's you see, this is why opposable thumbs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was watching it, I was actually really worried for Hulk that he would actually fall.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, and then when they release Surtur and Hulk tries to go and fight him, and Thor's like, "For once in your life, don't smash." Big monster! Come on! Never let Hulk have any fun.
Yeah, I honestly think that would have been a really fun fight to see. But how do you guys feel about Galadriel?
Again, it's another actress who's kind of wasted.
I mean, she does give a fantastic performance.
Oh no, that's the thing. She does a fantastic performance, and I love Cate Blanchett, and that's why I just feel it's a shame that we won't get to see her anymore.
Right, and and now you feel my pain.
Yeah, I'm a little upset at the curb stomping of the Warriors 3.
I mean, they kind of didn't really contribute much to the previous two films. Yeah.
It's canon to Norse mythology.
I get it, but I did enjoy their dynamics.
Yeah.
Probably one of the better parts of Thor 2.
I will say I am glad that Sif wasn't in the film, because she almost certainly would have been killed off alongside the Warriors 3.
Oh yeah, she got out of it just by the fact that her actor had something else to do.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
But like
the thing is, Sif didn't come back because Jamie Alexander was busy with filming a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she slays a reappear in Thor 4, which is good.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure she is. Also,
it was a cameo, but she was in Loki.
Another little casting thing. Obviously, I realized Matt Damon played the Loki actor. Didn't realize that.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, Matt Damon was the Loki actor. Yeah.
Yeah, in the play at the beginning of Loki and Thor.
But yeah, for the Thor actor, it was Luke Hemsworth, Chris's brother.
Oh, that's great.
And the guy playing Odin is Sam Neill.
Oh my god.
Who is?
He's the
Alan
guy
Grant in
from
Jurassic Park.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
frankly, at this point, has all but retired for the most part. Like, he's just
like showed up to play the guy playing Odin.
like he's just having fun, like running his vineyards in New Zealand.
Hey,
Which
if
is
he,
just.
if it works for him,
So
it
what
works
you're
for him.
saying is Taika Waititi's got pull.
Taika Waititi has pull, especially with his New Zealand brethren. Yes.
You know what? Who I want to see in the MCU,
Go on.
and
Who?
preferably as like a major role.
Who?
Jermaine Clement.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
He's like I would love for him to just do what he does and just be next to Taika Waititi because that's kind of their thing.
Again, because of time constraints, we have to move on. But one last thing, we finally get to see a use for Loki's helmet. Where he fucking just sweeps out the legs of something of one of the like skeletons.
I'm pretty sure he stabbed a fool with the helmet at some point.
I'm fairly sure he did as well, and he just fucking flipped it as well casually. And it was great. Yeah, I think that's about it. We have discussed all facets of Thor Ragnarok because it is such a good film.
So, we're talking about Black Panther now.
We are now moving on to Black Panther, yes.
Black Panther is probably one of the most complicated movies from an out-of-universe casting perspective now.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
But before we obviously get onto that, in summary for the film, after the events of Civil War, T'Challa, now king, returns to Wakanda to be coronated. They then unsuccessfully hunt down weapons dealer Clow, who had stolen a Wakandan artifact. Along the way, CIA agent Ross is injured and taken back to Wakanda for healing. Killmonger, Clow's accomplice/killer, and T'Challa's cousin, arrives in Wakanda and deposes and supposedly kills T'Challa, who actually survives, returns to fight, defeat, and I'm still not convinced he killed Killmonger, but he becomes king once more and then opens Wakanda to the world.
No, Killmonger
He
died.
fatally injured Killmonger, who then died
I'm
of his
still
wounds.
not sure I believe it.
He got impaled in the fucking chest, dude.
Like we've not seen people survive worse in the MCU.
Okay, that's fair. Still, he chose to die
Like-
rather than be imprisoned.
I get that, but at the same time, like, if Chadwick Boseman hadn't have tragically passed, I'm sure they probably would have kept Killmonger dead. Now that they have not got T'Challa, I find it slightly more likely that he survived.
That's actually a very good point.
Like, I'm not saying it's for definite, but certainly it's probably what I would prefer. In part because the other major option is Shuri, and her actress has slightly problematic views.
Yeah.
Also love the
It
fact
would be
that there are only 2 Caucasian actors in this film, and they were both fucking Lord of the Rings alumni.
That's great.
Wait, what's Sebastian Stan was in Lord of the Rings?
No, he only appears in the
played an
post-credits.
actual part in the film, because I would not consider Bucky Barnes
It's a
as
cameo.
properly
It's
in
a
the
cameo.
film. In the main cast enough that they were on the fucking poster.
Oh, fair enough. Wait, who was it other than? Oh, okay, yes, Smeagol
Martin
and
Freeman
Bilbo.
and Andy Serkis, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And God, do I love Andy Serkis.
I regret his death in the movie.
I mean, yes, I
Yeah.
do regret his death. I also, like... I mean, this is not a new realization, but I just love the South African accent.
It works.
I
really
really enjoy this whenever I get to hear a South African accent. Like, I enjoyed it in District 9 as well. And in, I think, Elysium.
I feel like as accents go, probably some of the more underrated ones are the South African and the New Zealand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, South Africa as a whole is a fairly...
Oh no, the country is just like all sorts of fricked up.
It's all sorts of fucked up. I'm not taking the PG route on that one. It's fucked up. As somebody who has studied post-colonial African history, South Africa is fucked up.
Yeah. Another thing with Black Panther though is that I appreciate it having so many prestigious black actors in it.
Oh yeah.
Like the late great Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Danai Gurira, Lupita Nyong'o, Forrest Whitaker, and Angela Bassett too.
Yeah.
Just such a fantastic cast. Jesus.
Also, this is another
Sterling
moment
K. Brown
where...
was in this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I really like Sterling K. Brown. He is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I wish he'd had a bit more of a role, but like he had a very important role.
Trevor Noah was in this?
Wait, what?
Huh?
He apparently voices a Wakandan ship AI?
Oh, that's really funny.
That is hilarious.
Mm.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no, this is a fantastic film, not just because, it's a genuinely good film, but also the fact that, it proves that films starring pretty much just black actors can succeed.
Yeah, to the tune of over $1 billion at the box office.
Yeah.
Now, another change in this movie that I'm very, very, very happy with is the Silver Ape.
Yeah.
Because, again, like Wong, horrible racist stereotype in the comics.
Yeah.
Turns out is actually one of my favorite part of the movie.
Oh no, M'Baku is great. I love M'Baku.
M'Baku is fantastic. Winston Duke does such a great job playing the character.
Yeah.
I do have some qualms with them using Hanuman as their deity. I feel like there's a lot of deities they could have gone with other than Hanuman for because cultural appropriateness.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a lot of deities indigenous to Africa that are primate based.
Yeah.
But Hanuman is kind of one of the biggest. Is the freaking inspiration for Sun Wukong.
Yeah.
In Asia, so it's kind of, and especially South Asia and the Indian subcontinent in general. So I'm kind of just I wish they picked a different deity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, Bast works because Bast is an African deity. Because a lot of people forget that Egypt is in Africa.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I do think the Vision Quest was very the not Vision Quest, but the whole. I really like the background, the whole astral plane sort of deal.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was neat.
Sorry, you might have just heard me groan there. I'm not sure how audible that was.
Why?
I had a look at Letitia Wright's Wikipedia page. She is the actress who plays Shuri.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
For anyone who doesn't know, she in late 2020 she was very sort of Basically, she shared a video that was anti-vax,
Oh no.
anti-climate change, apparently accused China of spreading COVID, and also just for good measure made transphobic comments.
God damn it.
And while she clarified in inverted commas that she didn't necessarily agree with it, but it's important to ask questions. Apparently, she has continued to espouse similar anti-vax sentiments on the set of the next Black Panther film. Yeah.
Which is a shame because the character is so good.
The character is good.
Yeah. Sucks that the actor is terrible.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's go away from that. Michael B. Jordan is great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's consistently great in pretty much everything I've seen him in. But he is especially great in this. Because he's also not necessarily 100% wrong.
He's not wrong, but he's like going about it in the worst way possible.
He's going about it in the wrong way, but his actual sentiments are not wrong.
No, his sentiments are absolutely correct, but he's just like... The character is... It's one of those cases where the character's sentiments are correct, but the decision-making is completely, like, defeats the sentiment.
And that's why I feel like he would be a good choice to not take the, role of Black Panther, but, become Wakanda's protector. Because he's got the sentiments, and it is just about, making sure the methods are right.
That'd be interesting, but I think
they don't really have much of a choice is the problem, right? Like,
yeah.
Chadwick Boseman he was really, really good as T'Challa, like to the point that it's like he's like Tom Holland or Robert Downey Jr. levels, where I have a hard time picturing. Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Marvel execs have agreed with that and decided not to recast T'Challa, which is understandable.
Which is good. I'm actually kind of curious about what the in-story, like whether they're gonna kill him off screen or like.
I think they kind of have to kill him off screen, but it is going to be interesting how they do it.
Yes. There is almost certainly not going to be an answer that satisfies everyone. But
no. But at the same time, I do trust the Black Panther team to come up with a satisfying reason. So this
doesn't seem out of the question to just have it all, like the character also like have an illness.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's probably one of the better options.
I feel like they could they're probably going to do something of like a tribute / memorial to Chadwick Boseman in the film proper, if they do decide to like address the death of the character.
Yeah.
So I feel like they could probably do something tasteful.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. But talking about the movie itself, the current movie rather.
Can you let me just have one more tangent?
Sure.
Of course.
So apparently, to prepare for the role as T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman examined Shaka Zulu, speeches from Nelson Mandela, Fela Kuti songs, but also examined Patrice Lumumba, who, for the non-history graduates in the audience and cast, was a Congolese politician. Now, the reason I mention him is because, as sad as the story of the Democratic Republic of Congo is, and it is very sad. Fuck the Belgians for their role in that. It's also slightly hilarious how crazy it got. Because at one point, there was a president and a prime minister. I think Lumumba was prime minister, and they tried to dismiss each other. Like the president dismissed Lumumba, okay. So Lumumba dismissed the president.
Which just...
There's other things that I can't exactly remember in the run-up to that, but yeah, the history of the Democratic Republic of Congo is frankly insane to a tragically hilarious degree. But yes, fuck the Belgians for their role. But yes, going back to the movie.
I mean, I really liked M'Baku, and the big damn heroes moment at the end of the movie was just glorious.
I also do love the general characterization of the supporting cast.
Yeah,
because it's one of the better fleshed out and more dynamic supporting casts, I guess, is the word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to a lot of
I'm just movies. Like, does the MCU just have a thing for making people with really good accents speak in a generic American accent?
Again, Martin Freeman, yeah.
I mean, he is a character from the comics who is CIA, so.
I know, but it's Martin Freeman.
Yeah. The fucking meme reference in this movie? What the fuck?
Oh god.
What are those?
Motherfucker, I had to stop. I had to pause it and just fucking sit there for a couple of minutes of just, you really fucking dated yourself with that?
Yeah, to be fair, like, the movie was filming for a while, but it was dated even when the movie was filming.
Yeah.
Like, if it was intentional, it would be great, but I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, the Fortnite gag in Endgame was better.
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely.
You mean Fortnite, right?
Korgnite.
Oh, God, You know what's funny? With how Fortnite, like, enjoys putting skins of, like, other media, do you think Fortnite in-universe, like, in the MCU, would have a Thanos skin in a Thanos mode?
That's
probably
very interesting. Like,
I think they might. Also, I can absolutely see Thor just yeeting himself to the Epic Games office and being like, but what if I was in Fortnite?
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Or like if they got a sponsorship deal from Stark Industries and put Iron Man in there. But yeah.
Yeah, another thing with Black Panther is that it just tackles some really dark and raw shit, you know, with the whole discussion about colonialism and the impact that it's had on people of African descent.
Yeah.
And how that plays deeply into Killmonger's motivation. Which is like a lot more real than you'd expect from an MCU film.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just having a look at the Wikipedia page for the Black Panther sequel.
Ah, I see.
Apparently, Michael B. Jordan has said he is willing to reprise his role as Killmonger.
That's interesting.
I'm kind of just curious if he's not already reprising his role in the Black Panther 2, then what exactly is gonna, like, what is... I'm sure they had a plan for Black Panther 2 before.
Oh no, they apparently absolutely did. Yeah.
And then they've kind of had to like completely. They probably had to completely rewrite the entire movie, haven't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, almost certainly.
So I'm very curious about how that's going to go, but I feel like I think Black Panther is kind of proof that you can tackle those issues in like a big blockbuster production and it'll still make money.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's very obvious to sane and rational people, but the thing is, studio execs are not sane and rational people. They're rich people. Totally different species.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Black Panther was kind of just a landmark. It won Best Picture, didn't it?
It did win an Oscar, yes. Yep, for which award? I think it was Best Costuming.
So 7 nominations at the 91st Academy Awards. Just a nomination for Best Picture, but won Best Costume Design, Best Original Score, and Best Production Design.
Dang, 3 awards. That's awesome. Well deserved, too. What's also interesting is that, fuck, my train of thought's been derailed again. Darn.
It is getting a bit late.
Yeah, not really for me, but for you guys.
Not for you, not that, a bit for me, and definitely for Mill.
It's not that late in terms of how long I usually stay up.
Well, yes, but like it is like 5 in the morning. Oh, like 3 in the morning, right?
3 in the morning, yes. As I said, as I said in our stream on Thursday, I appear to have, or my sleep schedule appears to have convinced the receptionist and maintenance guy in my building that I work nights.
I mean,
I do to an extent. Yes.
Well, there's worse. Well, no, I was gonna say there's worse assumptions that the dude could make. So
yeah,
you know, that's overall one of the more positive ones.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure the success of Black Panther is what led to Shang-Chi getting greenlit.
That wouldn't be overly surprising. I do also.
Shang-Chi is a movie that It's a very difficult movie to properly evaluate because it's a very good, like, from the representation point of view, like, the fact that it's an Asian-led movie is kind of a big deal. The thing is, though, it does have a lot of stereotypes.
We'll talk about that when we talk about the movie, but I still think it's a very good movie overall.
Are we saving that for when we do Phase 4, or after we finish Phase 3, are we just doing...
I feel like we can do that, and we can do that alongside the TV shows.
No, the TV shows are long enough to merit their own episodes, I think.
Fair enough, yeah.
We'll wait until enough of the movies have come out to talk about them.
I feel like our next one, just because we're kind of wrapping up here, our next MCU one is going to be Infinity War, Endgame, and probably Ant-Man 2, and...
Well, it's Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, I completely forgot that there's, like... Ant-Man and the Wasp is after Infinity War.
Yep.
So, actually, to be fair, we probably should split Phase 4 up.
Obviously, yes.
But at the very least,
it also doesn't help that a lot of Phase 4 hasn't come out yet.
I was just going to say, at the very least, Phase 4 Part 2 isn't coming out until at least 2023.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because that's when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 airs. And we still don't even have a date for Fantastic Four.
Yeah, all we know is that
I am very, very curious about how they're going to do Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because there's so many. Like, I trust at this point, I think we can put our trust in most of the MCU teams,
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's so many things that can go wrong with Fantastic Four.
The director is the guy who directed the Spider-Man films.
That's
the new one.
That's the MCU
pretty positive.
Films.
Yeah, that's pretty positive. I'm very curious about the casting because, thus far, Captain America and Killmonger have both been the Human Torch. So I'm kind of like, what if they make Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson the Thing?
Fuck.
Because The Rock.
What if the Thing and Taika Waititi... Korg, sorry. I was just going to call him Taika Waititi. What if the Thing and Korg met?
I feel like... Because, the Thing's entire character is that he's, a guy with one of the various New York accents.
Yeah.
It's either Brooklyn or the Bronx. I always get the two confused.
Can The Rock do a New York accent is a thing. Ooh. The Rock is talented, but accents aren't his thing.
Yeah.
They don't have to give him an accent.
Yeah, but then it feels like Chris Pratt as Mario.
That's true. Yes, that is true. Okay, maybe let's not make The Rock the Thing.
There are definitely roles. There have to be roles in the MCU for The Rock.
There are. Absolutely.
There are. I just don't want him to. I want The Rock to have a recurring role. I don't want him to be a one-off in the MCU because that would just be a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
anyways, I think now we're drifting a bit far from MCU Phase 3 Part 1.
We are.
So, I think we've covered about all there is to cover.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else for the films we are discussing today. Other than that, I guess all of them are good.
Yeah, MCU, Phase 3 is really where the MCU kind of settled their baseline.
Yeah. Even the weakest of the Phase 3 movies is still really good.
Because I would say even the weakest of the Phase 3 movies is probably better than the best in Phase 1.
I would agree with that, yes.
Of Avengers and Iron Man,
Yes, with the exception of the original Iron Man and Avengers, I think I would agree.
And it's certainly on par with the best of Phase 2.
That's a bit more debatable, but I can see where you're coming from.
Phase 2 was kind of the weakest.
Because I mean, the two ones that I'm thinking of, Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Those are the two best ones of Phase 2, yes.
I mean, what would you say out of the 6 films we've discussed today is the weakest one?
That's very difficult, isn't it?
Probably Doctor Strange, maybe?
And that's still
probably.
And that's still a really, really enjoyable film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Doctor Strange is at least on par with Guardians.
I would
say Doctor Strange isn't as good as Winter Soldier, but I would say it's on par with Guardians.
Yeah.
One.
They are of a similar level, but I wouldn't put them at the same rank. They're still both very good movies, though.
But yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us. I believe this is where we sign off, and
so future streams. tomorrow is probably just gonna be we don't have D&D, so it's probably just gonna be the collection stream for Psychonauts. Having not talked about this before, Jack, am I okay to say that we're probably going to get started around the same time as we usually do for D&D?
Yeah, probably.
And I make no promises for how long I will go, even if Jack has to leave partway through. I will keep going until I collect everything that I can, which is probably a foolish claim of mine. Tuesday, we'll finally get to Ilos, I'm sure. Maybe. I hope. We're so close.
I'm sorry, that was on me that we didn't do it this time, but yeah.
Also, I think I figured out how to get the good armor. Or the good Spectre gear, the good Spectre gear.
Oh, that's a relief.
So that should be fine. Then Thursday will probably be either the start of the end game for Psychonauts, or maybe just the entire end game. Who knows how quickly we get through it? Probably depends on my competence at platforming, which, yeah. And then next Saturday, we are talking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine now that it is fully finished.
Fun.
I am very much looking forward to it. You watched the finale today, didn't you, Jack?
I watched it yesterday and I cried.
Yeah, not surprising.
I binged the entire thing a while ago, and it was a very good last season.
It's a very good last season. But yeah, that's all we have for you tonight.
So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Mill and Jack, and have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Later.